Hi, today we will be building an AI-powered time management system, and we will be using Claude Cowork and Obsidian. So something about me is I own two different businesses with my wife. The first one is I'm a software engineer and I help businesses build websites and custom software. The second one is Clear Lake Tutors. I tutor students in math and science, SAT, AI, and coding. So what we'll be building today, we're going to be building an AI power system. This is for entrepreneurs, professionals, anyone who wants to start each day with clarity and end each week with a real sense of what was accomplished. We will be learning about Obsidian, Claude Cowork, how to create daily briefs, and weekly reviews. So what is the problem that I'm trying to solve? Most people start the week without a plan. The issue with this includes what task should I do today? What is the priority for each task? What is the time estimate for each task? When should I complete each task and in which order? And did I use my time efficiently this week? And how can I improve for next week? So the software that we'll be using is called Obsidian. It is free, local, open source. In Obsidian, it stores all of your notes as plain Markdown files on your computer. The only plugin you need to download for this to work is called the Task Note plugin. It's an all-in-one task management inside Obsidian, and it has three features that I use. The first one is the calendar view for scheduling and planning, the Kanban board for visual project tracking, and you can create tasks to be put into the calendar and Kanban view. The second software is Claude Cowork or the desktop version. And what this does, it's AI that works on your computer. So Claude Cowork is an AI desktop app that reads and writes directly on your machines and runs on a schedule that you set automatically. So some features it has schedule automation, and so you can put it on a reoccurring schedule. It can create and edit files locally on your computer. It can generate daily briefs, and weekly review reports. So for the system architecture, I have it set for daily briefs every day at 7 a.m. and it gets saved in the Claude/daily folder. I have a weekly brief. It's set every Monday at 6 a.m. and it's saved in the Claude weekly folder. I also have the weekly review. It's set every Sunday at 7 a.m. and it's put in the Claude/review folder. So for my weekly briefs, these are the four components I have, and this is for me personally. The first one is it looks through all of Houston's events this week. It helps me network for the week. I also like to have the Houston weather, so it's a 7-day forecast for the Clear Lake area. I have a weekly task review, so it's all tasks grouped by projects, priorities, and time estimates. And then I also like to save money from eating out, so it looks through all of the fast food deals for the week, and it helps me with like coupons and saving money. So this is what my weekly brief prompts look like. So you can copy and paste it and into Claude Cowork also. So some important components is where it's saved. So for example, the Claude weekly folder, you can see this is Houston events this week, Houston weather this week, weekly task review. So it'll group it by projects or context. So you can see it's grouped by Studio Kairos, Clear Lake Tutors, personal, etc. It'll prioritize it as high, medium, or low based off of deadlines and importance. It'll estimate the time for each task. And if it's a complex or multi-step task, it can add a brief recommended approach, 2 to 3 sentences. And then I'll have my chain food deals for this week and how it formats on Obsidian. So for my daily briefs, I have two components. The first one is task reviews for the week. So it looks at all the tasks for this week and it groups it by project. It also has today's focus. So AI would pick the top 3 to 5 tasks for today and build a time block schedule. And it has priorities for each task, suggests a time block, and it flags block tasks and recommends what to defer for the next day. So here's my daily brief prompt. You can copy and paste it. And some important ones includes the Claude/daily folder, my weekly task review, today's focus. So you can see it picks the top 3 to 5 tasks and how it should be formatted. The last one is the weekly review. This closes the loop. This is happens every Sunday, and it helps me reflect over what I did for the week. So the 6 components would be completed task, my wins for this week, my areas for improvement, the lessons learned, the open task carried forward, what should I focus for the next week, and recommended actions, and then my next week's priority. And this is the prompt, and the prompt is Claude/weekly review, and that's where it's stored. You can see that the first one is the completed tasks for the week, my wins, areas for improvements, lessons learned, open task carried forward, and next week's priority. What we're going to do now is that we're going to be building out and how it looks like. So first we'll be looking at Claude Cowork. And so this is the desktop app. And the first step is to click on Cowork. The next is to click on Scheduled. And you can see that I have it scheduled. So my daily brief runs on the weekdays at 7 a.m., weekly reviews every Sunday at 7 a.m. My weekly brief is every Monday at 6 a.m. So we'll create a new one. So I can create on new task, set up manually, and we'll create one called the weekly brief. And this is the demo, so I'll just put the number 2. I'll put the description the same. And I'm going to copy and paste the prompt. So for Claude, you have to put it in a specific folder. You don't want AI to have access to your entire computer because it can edit or delete files. So I only want it in a specific folder. And the folder that I want it in is a Obsidian folder called Obsidian Vault. I can act without asking. And I'll put yes and continue. And then you can choose the model. I'll just put Sonnet 4.6. And I can set it. It could be daily or weekdays. So let's just say we'll do it weekly. It will be Monday. Let's just say at 8:30. And it'll happen every Monday at 8:30. And I'll save. And you can see that I created a schedule task, and Claude would run this every Monday at 8:30 to create my weekly brief. The next thing we're going to learn is Obsidian, and this is what it looks like. So the first step is to download the community plugin. So there's a button called Settings down here. And then we can click on Community Plugins. And we can browse community plugins. And the one that we want is the task notes one. And you can see I already have it installed, but you could click on it and install it yourself. And then you can see my installed plugins, and I have task notes as one of them. So the three components that I use for the task notes plugin is the Kanban one. So on the left sidebar, you can see open Kanban board, and then I'll have it right here. So how I have it structured is everything that says in progress is everything that I'm working on this week. The done is everything I've finished. The open one is everything I have to do next week. And the none is everything I have to do in the future. It's not time sensitive. The other component I use is the calendar view. So it has all of my tasks that I have to do by date and even by due date. And I have it all here. The third component that I use is I create a new task. So let's say that I'm planning for groceries for this week. So I can say plan for groceries. So for this button right here, I have a scheduled date. And so I can say that I'm gonna do this task today. I can schedule a due date. So I can say I'm gonna schedule the due date for tomorrow. This allows me to put it like where on the Kanban board, whether it's open, in progress, or done. This will allow me to set different priority levels. This one will set when this task is reoccurring. So you can say it for daily, weekly, or monthly. And then this one is alarms or reminders. So I can hit save. And you can see that I can plan groceries for today. And the due date would be tomorrow, as an example. And then on the Kanban board, I can click on the Kanban board view. So you can see that plan for groceries was set for today and it's due for tomorrow. And I can also move them. So I accidentally set it for next week, so I can move it to today or for this week's task. The next thing that we're going to go over is my daily briefs. So you can see all my daily briefs is here. It's stored in the folder called Claude and daily. So we'll look through one of them. So you can see that it has the weekly task review, everything I have to do this week. It's separated by categories such as Studio Kairos, the Vont, which is a website that I'm building, personal, Clear Lake tutors, all the students I have to tutor this week. And it has today's focus, and it's categorized by morning, midday, afternoon, and evening, and what to defer if my tasks are overwhelming for today. The next one is my weekly one, and so it's saved under Claude Weekly. And you can see that it looks through Houston's events this week. And to give a shout out, there's the Houston AI Club meetup. It has the date and time, and then also the URL links and an RSVP here. This is the Houston weather this week. My weekly task review of everything I have to do this week. And it's separated by categories. And then the chain food deals this week to save money on eating out. The last one is the weekly review, so it allows me to understand what I've done this week and to review over it and lessons learned. So you can see these are the completed tasks I have this week, and it has separated by categories and the count. These are my wins for this week. These are my areas for improvement. These are the lessons learned. These are the open tasks carried for next week since I didn't accomplish it all this week. Next week's priority, which is the top 5. Okay, so that's the presentation. And if you want to connect with me more, I have a website called clearlaketutor.com. I tutor students one-on-one in math and science, AI and coding. This is my email. This is my LinkedIn. And then if you want the presentation URL, it's this right here.